Right now it's 6. The man behind a Juneau County homicide receives his sentence.
And a historic Memorial Day travel weekend. How you can avoid the busy traffic ahead.
Watching WKDT La Crosse, this is News 8 Now at 6.
Good evening and thank you for joining us for News 8 Now at 6. I'm Emily Brown.
And I'm Ken Kozarowski. Sentencing day for a man convicted of a January 2024 homicide. It is life in prison for 48-year-old Donald Dahlberg. A jury found him guilty of killing 57-year-old Floyd Burdick. Police arrested Dahlberg after finding Burdick's body near a trail in Mauston.
Sparta police are looking for the man in these photos. He allegedly tried to steal alcohol from a convenience store. The clerk jumped in trying to stop him. If you have any information, call police at 608-269-3122.
A fire rescue on La Crosse's north side today. Flames breaking out at Fish's Bar and Grill. 2 people were trapped on a second floor but were safely rescued. Fire officials say lithium-ion batteries for an electric scooter sparked the fire. As of now, the bar and grill remains closed.
Governor Evers ordering flags to be flown at half-staff today. It's in honor of former state representative James F. Rooney. The Racine Assembly member served the state from 1973 to 1985 before moving back to working within his local government. Evers said Rooney showed compassion when representing his constituents. Rooney was 89 years old.
La Crosse Central High School hosting its 103rd annual Memorial Day program today. The ceremony honoring and remembering servicemen and women. The keynote speaker was graduating senior, philanthropist, and known crochet prodigy Jonah Larson. The senior plans on enlisting in the Army.
I think it's really important because there's so many people out there that passed away while serving our country and keeping us safe. And this is the day to honor them and, pay your respects.
Central's Memorial Day tradition dates back to 1923. All right, let's bring in our chief meteorologist, Greg Barnhart, to give us an idea of what our Memorial Day weekend forecast is going to look like. Oh, you know what? I'm getting too ahead of myself because we have to touch on everyone leaving for Memorial Day.
That's right.
Who could be looking out the window to see how the weather's going.
That's right. Most people are going by car. News 8 Now's Grace Monk is live by I-90. Grace, how's it looking?
Right now on I-90, we're seeing a pretty steady flow of traffic, but this weekend is forecasted to be the busiest travel weekend in Wisconsin since 2005. According to AAA, over 800,000 Wisconsinites are expected to travel this weekend, and 45.1 million are expected to travel nationwide. The 2 busiest travel days are today from noon to 8 p.m. and then Monday from 4 to 7 p.m. WSDOT is putting a pause on most road construction projects.
There will still be a lot of orange barrels, and there may be uneven pavement, there may be unusual lane configurations or narrower lanes. So it's still important to drive cautiously at that reduced speed limit through those zones.
Drivers can expect lower gas prices this year. The average cost for a regular gallon of gas in Wisconsin right now is $3.05. And if you have a little too much fun this weekend, AAA is offering their Tow to Go service. You can call them for a free and safe ride home. That can be done by calling 855-286-9246. We have that number listed on our website as well. In La Crosse, Grace Monk, News 8 Now.
Okay, thank you, Grace. IA.DOT reminding drivers the Blackhawk Bridge between Lansing, Iowa and Crawford County, Wisconsin remains closed for Memorial Day weekend travel. The bridge closed after sensors detected movement on a pier.
And boating tips from the Wisconsin DNR. Make sure you've got life jackets and fire extinguishers on board. Double check that your boat plug is in place. And of course, know the rules of the river. Okay, now can we get to
now
Greg?
We can go to Greg. It was a beautiful start to Memorial Day weekend. Went outside for a long walk and going to have more of the same.
It's definitely going to be pleasant conditions. Not like we had 40s and 50s, but we're not going to see the 80s like we had earlier that maybe people were hoping for. But it's going to be dry, and we usually don't see 3 days of dry periods for Memorial Day. It's very rare, but we are going to see that. For today, we still have cloud cover out there that kind of built up with the daytime heating. We got up to the 60s here. Overall, mainly 60s. You had more 50s further east because of cloud cover, and also Lake Michigan. Don't forget that for this time of year. If you are traveling that way, the Lake Michigan tends to keep things a lot colder this time of year, given the water temp too. do. But overall tonight we do have colder temps. We're going to get back into the 30s in some areas. Could see a little bit of frost in certain areas. The higher elevations will be more in the mid 40s. The lower valleys will probably be more into the upper 30s, and that's why we do have a frost advisory out for the typical areas: Sparta, Black River Falls, up to Ladysmith. I typically do see some colder temperatures with this type of setup already. Now for this evening, just less cloud cover really as we go throughout the evening, getting back down to 53, light winds, so not a bad evening overall. Similar for Eau Claire too, less clouds as the sun begins to set. We'll have clearing skies, getting back down to 50 with light winds. So later on we're going to figure out when we might see 80 and we might see some precipitation. I know I've been kind of teasing 80 for a while, but it seems to be pushing back further and further, and we'll break down when we might actually see that a bit later.
Well, I know we always talk about loving 80-degree weather, but this has actually been extremely pleasant.
Yeah,
it is nice because, like I said, it's coming off of 40s and 50s, so 60s feels quite nice. By the time we get to the first week of June, we should be around 80. That's about average then.
All right.
Okay, holding you to it. Thanks, Greg. La Crosse's Forest Hills Golf Course hosted a grand opening of its new pavilion today. Area volunteers started discussing the idea of building the facility back in 2021, and they broke ground on construction in March of last year, and now it's finally open.
It'll get used for events. It's open. They're opening the pavilion, the concession stand, Thursday, Fridays, Saturdays, and Sundays. So that's nice. And so you can come up after you're done golfing and have a beverage and some food. They're having pizzas and hamburgers and things like that.
Looks good. The pavilion has a seating area for groups of up to 150 people.
An Onalaska restaurant is raising money for the Onalaska Police Department. For 5 years, Elite Nutrition has been raising money for the Onalaska Police's K-9 officers. This year, 25% of all sales will go to the police, plus separate donations made by the customers. Last year ended up raising almost $5,000, and this year the goal, $7,500.
I think we're on track, so we'll see. Through promotion and the really incredible community that we've created here, I think it's absolutely possible.
If you missed the event, you can still drop off a donation at Elite Nutrition throughout the weekend.
Coming up, Minnesota lawmakers scramble to pass their 2-year budget to avoid a government shutdown.
Plus, a school bus rolls over with children on board. Next. Sunday marks 5 years since George Floyd was killed in Minneapolis police custody.
Today, the city is holding events and remembering a man whose death sparked protests across the country and brought reform to some departments. CBS News correspondent Wendy Gillette reports.
5 years later, a moment of silence was held in George Floyd Square. A permanent memorial in Minneapolis to ensure the city never forgets.
Let us march on till victory is won.
Earlier, religious leaders sang.
And I thank God for the call to take to the streets and the fight for justice.
And shared reflections about the meaning of George Floyd's death at an interfaith gathering at City Hall.
Let justice roll down like waters and righteousness like a mighty stream.
I can't breathe! I can't breathe!
Floyd's dying words in 2020 became a rallying cry for protesters in the days and weeks that followed. The 46-year-old's death brought vows of police reform. This week, the Department of Justice ended investigations of police departments, including Minneapolis, also canceling a proposed consent decree for the city, which would have brought federal oversight of policing. Minneapolis Mayor Jacob Fry is pushing back.
We're doing it anyway.
Derek Chauvin and 3 other former Minneapolis police officers were convicted in state and federal courts on charges related to Floyd's death. A few conservatives have called for a presidential pardon for Chauvin, but Minneapolis police say it's unlikely. Wendy Gillette, CBS News.
The Rise and Remember Festival will be held Saturday and Sunday in Floyd's honor. There will also be a service, gospel concert, and candlelit vigil on Sunday.
In Minnesota, a school bus with kids inside rolled off a gravel road this morning. Cambridge and Santee School District leaders say recent rainfall caused the shoulder of the road to become soft. 18 middle and high school students were on board. No one was hurt.
Minnesota's legislature still has not passed a 2-year state budget. Lawmakers lawmakers are working behind closed doors to try and wrap up unfinished business. Negotiators still trying to reach key agreements on things like taxes, education, and health care. Public meetings are scheduled, but a special session isn't expected until next week.
It is clear we're not going to have a special session by the end of this week because that's tomorrow. But I hope that in the work of today, and people are working really hard today, and hopefully tomorrow we're able to button these things up.
Even though it's slower than we would like, things are going well. It doesn't appear that anyone has quit or given up, and that is a very good sign in the right direction.
Negotiators are expected to work through Memorial Day weekend to get the budget done. We'll have more news ahead.
But first,
really dry and pleasant conditions Memorial Day weekend, which is a nice change for once considered we start off the week with 40s and 50s. We'll break down when we might actually see 70 and maybe even 80. That all coming up on your First Warn Weather Update after the break. Well, the good news is the cold, wet conditions are done with for the time being too, but we still got some chilly conditions. Last night we had them, and tonight we'll have them too, with a dry atmosphere in place. And these type of conditions, you typically can get these temperatures to come back down in the 30s, especially in those colder locations, lower elevations. So that's what we have for tonight. Frost is a possibility once again, but it won't stay at 31, 32 for many hours, maybe about an hour, and then come back up. Otherwise, we're going to see a few degrees warmer for Saturday, and it'll be the same trend as we go for Sunday and Memorial Day weekend, which means we will probably climb just into the low 70s. It's about 5 degrees below average. We should be in the mid 70s, but definitely an improvement from what we started the week with those 40s too. So all in all, it's not going to be too bad of a Memorial Day weekend. For tonight, the temperatures, once again, these are probably a little too high in certain areas. I think Sparta, Black River Falls, Stanley, those areas probably in more like the mid 30s, low 30s. And the rest of the area, the higher elevation will have better mixing, so that keeps these temperatures a little bit in the 40s, like ridge lines. The lower valleys is where the area of concern is, where that cold air starts sinking a little bit, that you do get low to mid 30s. So that's the idea with this going on. Tomorrow we'll have more probably upper 60s, especially further south you go. Could be a 70 out there. So better. We'll have, once again, same trend we had today. Morning sunshine, daytime heating allows more clouds in the afternoon. So you start off sunny, you kind of end the day on cloudy conditions, but then the clouds begin to dissipate towards the nighttime. Then as we go into Sunday, could be still a little bit of chilly conditions, but I think overall the temperatures will be a little bit milder, a few degrees, but still upper 30s are definitely possible going into Sunday. Sunday, a lot of areas will probably climb back up into the 70s with more clouds once again in the afternoon and a light northeast wind. So all in all, this is not bad, really. Could speak of what we had for earlier this week. As recent Memorial Days, as you would see, everyone forgets last year we were only about 69 and we had some wet conditions there too. But it's been a couple hot ones in 2022, going back to even to 2020, and 2020 was one of the wetter ones too. So we struggle. This is just for Memorial Day, and it does change from the 25th to about the 30th each year. But it's been hard for us to get 3 straight days or the entire weekend to be precipitation free. But 2023 was one where we had no precipitation all 3 days, and I think we will have another one here too. So all in all, it's going to be not too bad, but if you want the 80s, unfortunately, we're not going to see it. We're going to see more low to mid 70s. Overall, not too bad to speak of too as we go on. Unfortunately, Tuesday on the way back, you come back to work or anyway, coming back home, you got basically back to the 60s, and that's because we got cloud cover and a little pesky upper level low that's going to be starting to move towards our area. And these tend to take their time because they're not associated with a jet stream. They're not going to move quick. So eventually we'll see showers ahead of this come in by Tuesday. They could linger Wednesday, cloud cover. Even Thursday too, it's going to take its time to really push east. So Thursday we can't even rule out a few showers, but it's also going to get or bring our temperatures back down to the 60s too for the time being. Unfortunately, we're not going to see the 80s. Now, if you're looking beyond that, 8 to 14 day, pretty much no confidence either way at this point. You see our average temperature should be about 78. So that kind of gives you an idea where we should be. Unfortunately, we're not seeing too much of a sign. Drier conditions do look more certain going into early June, given the precipitation. Usually about this time of period, about a week, you're going to see about maybe 3/4 to above a little bit of an inch of precipitation during this time. We shouldn't see much in the way of that, regardless of what we see on Tuesday, which won't amount to be too much. So unfortunately, those 80s keep getting pushed back, and now we're probably into June to see maybe 80-degree weather. As you know, by Saturday at 79 is kind of where we should be, near average. So there is a dip back for Tuesday and Wednesday with those precipitation chances back to the 60s, and then we'll climb back up too. But the big story is the weekend dry.
Yeah.
3 days dry. Memorial Day weekend is very rare. We'll see that in the Midwest any year.
Absolutely. So enjoy it,
Yes.
embrace it.
Yes.
Exactly.
Thanks, Greg.
Fully.
Coming up next in sports, winner take all. An area softball team looking to clinch their spot in the World Series. Plus a Frank-tastic race with a wild comeback you won't want to miss. Who's the top dog? Jacob is next.
Covering all the exciting action from your community. Here's News 8 Now Sports with Jacob Lenzendorf.
Well, after losing yesterday, the St. Mary's softball team in Winona needed 2 wins today over UW-Whitewater to advance the NCAA D3 World Series. They won Game 1 4-0, so it was a winner-take-all Game 2. Cardinals entered the day 43-5 on the season. Fantastic campaign, and Megan McGinnis did not want it to end. First batter of the game hits it out to put SMU up 1. Second inning, 2 runners in scoring position for Heather Nordlund, and she rips one into the right center gap. 1 run is in, and another will cross to make it 3-0 St. Mary's. 7th inning now. Cards can taste it. Abby Stigler gets one she likes and hammers it. No doubter to left field to increase the lead. And the Winona senior grad, Michaela Steffes, showing why she's the conference pitcher of the year. Complete game where she allowed just 1 run. And the St. Mary's Cardinals will look for their first World Series title in 25 years. Brewers taking on the Pirates in Game 2 of their weekend set. Great starting pitching matchup. Freddie Peralta versus the reigning Rookie of the Year, Paul Skeens. At last check in that one, it was scoreless, but the Pirates were threatening. Some results to pass along from the Outdoor Track and Field Championships for UWL. Joey Sullivan is a national champion in the 3,000-meter steeplechase, and Adam Lonzer following in second place. On the women's side, Amber Gross takes 10th in the heptathlon, and Alexis Sherrill finishes 12th. And former Logan grad Lauren Jarrett finishing with the top time in prelims in the 100-meter dash with a time of 11.54 seconds. All right, now it is time to crown the winner for the latest News 8 play of the week. And when I checked yesterday, he was in 4th place, but a late push lifted Chasen Witt to the top vote getter for his performance back on Monday when he shot a 76 to win the MVC Conference Tournament in Viroqua. A big congrats to Chasen. All right, guys, the fun does not stop there. Stay with me for this one. Today, the inaugural Weenie 500, a race that's part of the Indy 500 at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. All 6 Wienermobiles from the fleet gathering to see who can win the 2-lap race. This is electric right here. Top speed of 60 miles per hour. The Sonoran dog was in the lead, but the dog overheated, allowing the Slaw dog, there it is, coming on the bottom, to pass the Shy dog in the backstretch in a race that people will tell their kids about for years to come.
Of course they will.
Of course. And a cool element to this one, each Wienermobile featuring a region of the hot dog favorites. For the Midwest, the Shy Dog. The East was the New York Dog. Southeast, the Slaw Dog. Chili Dog South. Seattle Dog for the Northwest. And Sonoran was the entry for the Southwest. How good is that, though? I mean, that is...
That's why the Sonoran overheated. That's a desert in Arizona.
There we go.
Like, what's
even
on
more
that?
puns. Even more puns. Bring them all today. It's Memorial Day weekend.
Is there sand on that dog? What's in a Sonoran hot dog?
I have
I have no clue either.
Pieces of cactus?
Yeah, pieces of cactus. Ouch.
I did not do research on what was in the dog. I may report back for the 10 p.m. So if you're dying to know, check it.
We need all the details. Yes. Thanks, Jacob.
All right. Greg has a final look at your forecast right after this.
All right, another chilly night's going to be coming ahead. 40s for La Crosse. Eau Claire could probably be in the upper 30s. There'll be areas surrounding in the cold spots like Sparta, Black River Falls. Could get into the mid 30s or even colder, so something to be aware of. Otherwise, we have warmer temperatures Saturday, Sunday, Monday, back to 70. And then, rain chances come back in. Unfortunately, there's no 80 yet in the 8-day, but getting close towards the end.
And it'll be well worth the wait when it arrives.
Oh, yeah, definitely will.
Thanks, Greg.
Thanks for joining us at 6. We'll see you at 10.